Malta Blockchain Summit. So where in the world would you say are the best conditions for cryptocurrency development and blockchain development?
That's a very interesting and difficult question. If you wish to do an ICO in the absence of regulation, then probably the Eastern Hemisphere is the best place to go. But if you want to have a regulated environment, I would say it's right here in Malta.
What are the main differences in regulations in Eastern countries, Western countries? What is your experience?
Well, it's very interesting. I've been practicing law for about 25 years, and I've done a lot of work in the securities business. And the differences, the problems with the application of anyone's laws to blockchain assets, blockchain-based assets or digital virtual assets, is that it's hard to know which set of regulations to apply. So for the most part, the analysis has been that these assets are either currencies or securities. And those are the regulatory environments that have been applied to this industry, except for in places where they are acknowledging the differences with digital assets.
Mm-hmm. And how can all these events happening here in Malta influence potential of the industry?
The events happening in Malta can influence the potential of the industry because the regulatory structure is very new. So there is a process of awareness building that has to happen in order to work out the many problems of applying legal structures to digital and virtual assets.
When will blockchain and crypto be adopted in most of the countries?
I've been, the reason I'm smiling is I've made a lot of sort of guesses about what would happen in technology over the past 25 years, and I'm usually right. But where I'm always wrong is on the timing, and you've asked me how long. So I don't know how long it will take before virtual currencies and virtual assets are accepted worldwide. But I think that the market and people have selected that they want to use these virtual assets, and it's going to take some time before the regulators follow up and make it possible for everyone to use them in a regulated environment.
Talking about SEC in the US, so when can we expect the conclusion of SEC on crypto regulation, and what will be the conclusion?
It's interesting you would put it that way. The SEC has made many statements about cryptocurrencies in the last 12 months, and the SEC's position on it is that the regulations as they currently stand are sufficient for regulating cryptocurrencies. So the SEC's stance is that they would simply apply the regulations as they now stand to cryptocurrencies. The problem with that stance is that a lot of other people don't agree with that, and what it's created is a situation of lack of clarity in the US that scares entrepreneurs to other countries. And that's why we find so many crypto offerings happening in other countries.
And what will be their main statements in your opinion? What do you expect?
I don't know how long the current stance will last, but I have marveled at the thought of how difficult it would be to change the SEC rules such that they apply cleanly to cryptocurrencies and crypto securities. I think that Congress needs to make a statement about which gives us a little bit more definition. Right now our only definition is the Howey test for securities, but we have to make decisions about whether these crypto assets are securities, commodities, currencies, or something else.
Talking about the American government, recently there has been a suit saying that that proves that they don't really know what Facebook is. They said, is it something that can be recorded on a floppy disk? So do you think they understand what blockchain and cryptocurrency is?
Well, I've had the privilege of having worked in the legislative branch of the U.S. government briefly, and I would say a lot of the representatives and senators don't really have a clear understanding of how cryptocurrencies work. So I think it is a big concern. They are being called upon to make a judgment, but they have a lot of staff members who study these issues and brief them on it. And I think it's going to take some time before they really clearly understand what the issues are. And also, I think the news media in the US does not have a clear understanding of cryptocurrencies either. And so they've created a lot of misinformation in the US, and there's a lot of confusion. And I lived through this before during the internet era. And I think it's going to take a long time before you have enough clarity of understanding that the US legislature would be able to help sort the issues out.
And you said that the government doesn't really understand it.
I think the SEC does understand it. I think the legislature does not understand it.
So what can be done to make this whole industry more understandable for people like, I don't know, me, like our viewers, those who don't know enough about it, who know something, but yet that's not everything because it's impossible.
It's very early in the industry, and so usually at the beginning of these technology revolutions, things are very chaotic and very confusing, and that's what's happening right now. I think more time has to pass before things become more clear, and I also think that there should be more educational resources. There's quite a lot of educational resources about crypto, but it's really just developing. And so it's very early in the process, and it's going to take some time before we have a clear enough understanding to make good rules.